When a woman likes you but refuses to show it, the signs are never obvious, never loud, and rarely straightforward. That's what makes this topic complicated and honestly, a little controversial. Today, we're going to talk about the subtle ways a woman may care deeply but chooses to hide it. And I want to welcome you to the channel because this might be one of the most quietly confusing emotional experiences men deal with. I've spent years listening to people talk about their relationships, and some of the deepest stories I've heard came from situations where someone cared, but pride or fear wouldn't allow them to admit it. I can't mention names for obvious reasons, but I've watched men sink into self-doubt because a woman's actions didn't match her feelings. I've also seen women sit across from me, admitting they liked someone, yet held back every sign. Not because they didn't care, but because caring made them feel vulnerable. Many women are taught to protect their emotions by hiding them, even when they're feeling everything. So let's be honest for a moment. Sometimes she avoids you not because she's uninterested, but because she's scared of how interested she actually is. Sometimes she acts distant because getting close feels risky. And sometimes the woman who seems the most unaffected is the one who lies awake, replaying every conversation in her mind. These situations are real. I've seen the confusion they create and the silent pain they cause on both sides. This video is going to help you understand those hidden signs. Not the loud ones, not the clichés, but the quiet ways affection shows itself when a woman is trying not to be seen. And by the time we're done, you'll be able to notice the things that aren't spoken, the behaviors that don't look romantic at first glance, and the emotions she thinks she's hiding well. If you're ready, we can go deeper. Just tell me when to continue and I'll move into the next part. 1. She avoids you, but watches you. There is a confusing kind of distance some women create when they like someone but are afraid to show it. It doesn't look warm. It doesn't look welcoming. In fact, it can make you believe she wants absolutely nothing to do with you. But avoidance is not always rejection. Sometimes it is the product of fear, overthinking, or a heart that feels too exposed. I've sat in sessions with women who confessed that looking directly at the man they liked made them feel vulnerable, so they pulled back instead. They created space not because they felt nothing, but because feeling something made them uneasy. A woman may walk past you quickly, appear focused on her phone, or pretend not to notice you. Yet the moment you aren't looking, she suddenly becomes aware of every detail. Her attention is sharper than her expression reveals. She might know what shirt you were wearing, who you were talking to, or how long you stayed in the room. It sounds contradictory, but attraction often makes people nervous, and nervousness makes people act in ways that don't make sense on the surface. I once had a client who struggled with this exact behavior. She cared deeply for someone, but every time he came near, her instinct was to look away. She described it as an emotional reflex, like her heart moved before her logic had time to catch up. She never said a word to him, yet she noticed everything he did. And there are countless stories like hers. When feelings are intense, showing interest feels like handing someone a piece of your heart without knowing what they'll do with it. Men often misread this distance as disinterest, and I've seen how painful that misunderstanding can become. What looks like silence might actually be tension. What looks like indifference might be self-protection. And what looks like avoidance might be the very thing that reveals her interest. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't think twice. She wouldn't look over when you're distracted. She wouldn't grow quiet around you. She wouldn't keep her guard up so tightly. Avoidance mixed with awareness is not random. When a woman likes you but tries not to show it, her emotions leak out in these subtle movements. She tries to stay composed, but her attention keeps slipping back to you. It's a quiet kind of affection, hidden behind distance, but felt in the way she can't stop noticing you even while pretending she's not looking. If you notice both distance and attention, coldness and curiosity, those signs are rarely meaningless. 2. Her emotions slip in small moments. There's a truth many men overlook. A woman can try her hardest to stay composed, but emotions are stubborn. They find cracks. They leak through tone, expression, and timing. Even when she wants to look unmoved, something small always gives her away. And it's in those small moments that her real feelings speak louder than anything she says out loud. A woman who likes you but doesn't want you to know will often fight herself internally. She tells her mind to stay calm, stay neutral, stay invisible. But the heart doesn't listen to rules. I've sat across from women who swore they were hiding everything perfectly, and yet every story they told, every pause in their voice, every slip of frustration or softness proved otherwise. Some of the most emotional confessions come from people pretending they don't care. Her emotions might show themselves in very subtle ways, like the way her voice softens when you're upset, even if she tries to speak casually, or the way her tone changes with you compared to everyone else. She may sound neutral on the surface, but her expression gets warmer when you laugh, or her eyes soften when you talk about something personal. Those are moments she doesn't plan. They happen without permission. Sometimes a woman will act irritated around the man she likes, not because she dislikes him, but because she's frustrated by the feelings she can't control. I once listened to a woman talk about a man she claimed she had no interest in. Her words sounded strong, confident, emotionless. But every time his name came up, her voice changed. It was quieter, more careful, more emotional. She wasn't fooling anyone except herself. Men tend to wait for big signs, clear signals, bold confessions, obvious flirtation. But some women reveal interest in micro-expressions. The brief look of concern when something bothers you, the smile she tries to hide, the way she relaxes when she feels safe around you. There's a softness that appears for half a second and disappears before she catches herself. You might notice her calming down when you walk into a room, or becoming more cautious with her words. She might play it cool in public, but if you look closely, her eyes brighten when you speak. Or she pays attention a little too carefully when you describe your life. She might check on you when you're sick, congratulate you when something goes well, or send a message that sounds friendly but feels deeper. These emotional slips are unplanned. She doesn't rehearse them, and the reason they matter is because nobody hides what they don't feel. If she truly didn't care, nothing would change inside her. But something does. Something subtle but real. A woman trying to hide her interest will fight her emotions, but her emotions will always try to speak. The question is whether you're paying attention to the quiet moments, because that's where the truth usually lives. 3. She acts cold, but remembers everything. There is a strange kind of contradiction that confuses many men. A woman who appears distant, short, uninterested, or even cold. Yet she remembers every small detail you've ever told her. It's one of the most powerful signals that her feelings run deeper than she lets you see. And it's often where men get things wrong. They focus on her tone but miss her memory. They hear her words but overlook her attentiveness. A woman who truly feels nothing barely remembers what you said 5 minutes ago. But a woman who is trying not to show interest will store details without even meaning to. Where you work, your favorite food, the things that stress you, the dreams you mentioned once and forgot you spoke out loud. She may not ask direct questions, but when something happens in your life, she reacts instantly, as if she never stopped paying attention. I've heard countless women sit across from me and swear they didn't care about a certain man anymore. They would tell me they were over it. Their tone was strong, their posture firm. But then something small would happen. Maybe the man posted a picture, started a new job, or met someone new, and suddenly they knew every detail. They remembered dates, conversations, habits, even the way he joked when he was nervous. That was always the giveaway. People don't remember what they don't feel. Some women act distant as a way to protect themselves. Being warm feels risky. Being available feels vulnerable, so they build a calm exterior. But underneath that controlled surface, the mind is still collecting information. It's a quiet kind of affection, one that hides in memory rather than behavior. If you notice she remembers your birthday, your favorite drink, or even a random story you told once, that is not an accident. If she recalls the exact way you phrased something weeks ago or remembers a personal detail you barely noticed you shared, her attention is not casual. She may not compliment you, she may not flirt, and she may not show excitement, but memory does not lie. The heart pays attention even when the mouth stays silent. I once spoke with a woman who was afraid of letting her feelings show because she had been hurt before. She said she wanted to appear strong, confident, and uninterested, But while she acted cold with her words, she could recite every conversation she ever had with the man she liked. She remembered the way he laughed, the advice he needed, the things he hoped for. She thought she was hiding her feelings well, but her memory made her emotions obvious. Men often look for excitement, affection, and visible interest. But the woman who watches quietly, listens carefully, and remembers more than she wants to admit, that is the one fighting the hardest not to reveal herself. If she acts cold but never forgets you, she's not disconnected. She's protecting something she's scared to lose. 4. Her body language betrays her. When a woman likes you but wants to hide it, her words might stay calm, her tone might sound neutral, but her body is far more honest than her voice. I've watched this happen many times. Someone insisting they feel nothing, yet their body reacts every time the person they care about enters the room. And body language, even the smallest movement, can speak louder than any confession. There was once a woman in a relationship who struggled deeply with this. She cared about her partner, but she didn't know how to express affection comfortably. She told me she didn't want to seem too attached, because the last time she loved openly, she ended up feeling taken for granted. So she decided to stay guarded. Her words were short. Her answers were controlled. She barely showed excitement, but the moment her partner walked into the room, her entire body changed. Her posture straightened, her eyes softened, and even though she tried to look neutral, she always leaned slightly toward him without realizing it. She never said she missed him, but her body did. Many women show interest in these quiet, physical ways. She might sit close to you without thinking, or shift her body in your direction even if she tries not to look. Maybe she laughs at jokes that aren't especially funny, or her voice changes just a little when she speaks to you. Some women play with their hair, adjust their clothes, or look down when you make eye contact. These reactions are not rehearsed, they are instinctive, and instinct is hard to control when emotions are involved. Sometimes a woman will try to move away to keep her feelings hidden. She may cross her arms or look busy, but then her behavior doesn't match the distance she tries to create. If someone else gets close to you, she becomes quieter, and her expression shifts even if she attempts to hide it. When you speak, she listens a little too closely. When you're near, her breathing changes. When you walk away, her eyes follow. I've seen women claim they were cold or detached, but their bodies told the truth. One leaned toward her partner every time he spoke, even though she swore she was not affectionate. Another would pretend not to stare, but the moment he turned away, she watched him carefully, almost protectively. Body language is the most honest language because it's the hardest to hide. The heart moves and the body follows. A woman who feels nothing stays still, calm and unbothered. But a woman who cares, even if she tries to bury it, always reveals herself in the way she positions her body near you, the way she reacts to your presence, and the way her guard drops for just a second when she forgets to be careful. If you want the truth, don't just listen to what she says. Watch what she does without thinking. Her body will tell the story her words refuse to share. 5. She gets jealous quietly. Jealousy is one of the strongest signals a woman shows when she's trying to hide her feelings. It doesn't come out as dramatic scenes or loud arguments. It often appears in silence. Small changes in her tone, her mood, or the way she reacts when another woman gets your attention. Many men misread this silent jealousy as moodiness or attitude, but the truth is deeper. Jealousy only lives where attachment exists. Some women try to play it off. She might pretend she doesn't care who you talk to, but suddenly she pulls back. She becomes shorter with her responses. Her energy changes. She doesn't need to say anything. You can sense the tension. I've heard women admit, with their guard down, that watching the man they liked laugh with someone else made their stomach twist, but they didn't want to look needy or insecure, so they held it in and acted indifferent. Jealousy is not always loud. Sometimes it's painfully quiet. But here's where men often respond the wrong way. Some react by teasing her for being jealous, trying to force a confession, or using her discomfort to boost their ego. Others get defensive and ask why she's upset when you're not even together. This is where things fall apart. When a woman is already scared to show how she feels, making her feel guilty, exposed, or embarrassed about her emotions only pushes her farther away. She will shut down instead of opening up. If you notice she gets withdrawn when another woman is around, don't mock her feelings or act oblivious. You don't have to make a grand romantic statement, but you can make her feel safe. The right way to respond is calm, respectful, and reassuring. If she seems uncomfortable, you might say something like, "You seem a little bothered. Are you okay?" Or, "I want you to know you don't have to hide how you feel with me." Simple words, gentle tone. You're not forcing her to confess. You're showing that her emotions are safe with you. Sometimes all she needs is a sign that you noticed her reaction and cared enough to check on her. You'd be surprised how many women open up when they feel emotionally protected rather than interrogated or teased. Another important thing, if you like her too, don't try to make her jealous back. Many men think this proves a point, but it only creates distance and resentment. If she finally gathers the courage to show a little emotion and your response is to play games, she will never try again. Instead, acknowledge her feelings gently. You can even reassure her without making it dramatic. "You matter to me, I'm not going anywhere." Or, "I enjoy talking to you more than anyone else here." Jealousy isn't a weakness. It's a sign of care. A woman who feels nothing doesn't react at all. She's not threatened. She's not uncomfortable. She's not emotional. But the one who gets quiet and distant when someone else pulls your attention, that's the woman holding back her true feelings, hoping you don't replace her. And how you respond in those moments can either build trust or break it. 6. She tests your intentions. When a woman likes you but is afraid of showing it, she won't always come forward with softness. Sometimes she comes forward with caution. She tests your intentions. Not because she wants to play games, but because she wants to protect herself. I've seen many men misunderstand this and walk away too quickly, thinking she's being complicated. But what she's really doing is trying to figure out if you're someone she can trust with her feelings. These tests are rarely dramatic. They're subtle. She might ask indirect questions, pay attention to how you speak about other women, or watch how you behave when you're frustrated. She might pull back a little just to see if you notice or if you'll reach out. She might joke about something small just to gauge your reaction. On the surface, it looks simple, but underneath, she's asking herself one thing. Is he safe for my heart? I once listened to a woman explain why she pushed a man away, even though she cared about him deeply. She said every time he got close, she asked herself if he would hurt her the way someone else did. She wasn't trying to be difficult. She was trying to survive. A lot of men don't realize how many women carry emotional scars from moments where they trusted too easily. When a woman tests you, it's usually coming from fear, not manipulation. The problem is, many men see testing as disrespect. They feel challenged, annoyed, or confused, and that reaction can make her shut down even more. But if you pay attention, her tests are simply questions in disguise. Will you lose patience with me? Are you the kind of man who gives up easily? Can I rely on what you say, or are your words empty? You don't have to pass tests with perfection. You just have to respond with consistency. If she pulls back, don't chase aggressively, but don't disappear either. If she asks something indirect, don't get defensive. Answer with honesty. If she brings up other women casually, she's not trying to trap you. She's trying to see how loyal your attention is. Some women test by giving you space, just to see if you return on your own. Others ask about your plans or your values, trying to understand what kind of man you are without handing you her heart the first chance you get. And I've seen what happens when a man responds the right way. She slowly relaxes. The walls start coming down. The tension softens. Not because he was perfect, but because he was patient. A woman who feels nothing doesn't test you. She doesn't care where you are, who you're with, or what you're doing. But if she watches your actions closely, questions your consistency, or pays attention to how you treat her, she sees potential. She just wants to know if you see it too. These tests aren't meant to push you away. They're meant to see if you stay. 7. She shows up when it matters most. There is a difference between a woman who likes the idea of you and a woman who actually cares. The one who likes the idea will be around when things are fun, convenient, or exciting. But the woman who likes you, truly likes you, even when she tries to hide it, will show up when it matters. Not loudly, not dramatically, often quietly, but with depth. I've listened to men tell stories of women they thought were uninterested, only to realize later that she was always there during the moments that counted. Maybe she didn't flirt. Maybe she didn't confess anything, but when life got heavy, she didn't disappear. She checked on you when you were sick. She asked about your day when you seemed off. She offered help without being asked. Even if she hid her feelings, her actions revealed them. Women who are trying not to show their emotions often avoid anything that looks obvious, but they struggle to stay away when someone they care about is hurting. I once spoke with a woman who swore she was done with the man she liked. She said she was tired of caring and wanted to protect her heart. But when he went through a difficult time, she couldn't stop herself from reaching out. She worried. She stayed up thinking about him. She checked on him more than she wanted to admit. Caring pulled her back every time. A woman who feels nothing doesn't show up. She doesn't remember your important days, your challenges, or your victories. She doesn't step in when you're overwhelmed or celebrate when something good happens. But the woman who's fighting her feelings will break her own rules when you need support. She might try to act casual, just checking in. Thought I'd see how you're doing. But the intention behind those words is deeper than she lets on. Her presence is not accidental. Men often miss this because they're looking for romantic actions, big gestures, affection, confessions. But sometimes the purest sign of interest is consistency. If she is there in your lowest moments, that is not friendship by accident. That is emotional loyalty. Pay attention to how she reacts when something changes in your life. If trouble comes and she disappears, she didn't care. But if trouble comes and she shows up, even quietly, she's invested. If you tell her something important and she remembers later, she's paying attention. If you mention a problem and she offers a solution, help or comfort, she's not acting friendly. She's protecting you in the way women do when they feel something real. And interestingly, she may not want credit for it. Many women who hide their feelings don't want to be noticed for their loyalty. They stay close without asking for anything in return, because caring has already taken root deeper than they planned. When a woman shows up when it matters, even while pretending her heart is untouched, she is telling the truth in the most human way possible. Words can lie. Actions rarely do. When a woman likes you but tries not to show it, her feelings slip through the cracks. She hides behind distance, calmness, or confidence, yet her actions, reactions, and quiet emotional shifts tell a different story. These signs aren't always obvious, but they are sincere. The truth is simple. If she truly didn't care, none of these behaviors would exist. Her attention, her worry, her jealousy, her presence, those are signals of a heart trying to stay protected. Pay attention to what she does, not just what she says. The feelings she tries to hide are often the strongest ones of all.